Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Baba Is You. I know we don't have the flower yet in Rocket Trip, but I looked at the puzzles a little bit. I started to map out that one where you take over the empty space and move the rocket ship around, and then I decided, you know what, this is not a good way to start the new week. I want to come at something fresh. I want to try to rebuild that feeling of momentum here for this new week of puzzling. So we're just going to move on to a new area. We'll come back. There's lots of other stuff we need to come back to. We'll just throw that on the list. This is the next area numerically. Let's just check this out, right? Let's drop in and see what condition its condition is in. I just watched The Big Lebowski the other day, so... Kiki on grass is defeat. So here we go. Here's our new concept for this world. So, grass is not defeat, but Kiki becomes defeat if Kiki is ever on grass. That's interesting. Don't really know what to do with it. It does mean that I suppose that we have to be kind of careful with how we move words around, because there's a lot of pushing that we're not going to be allowed to do here. Kiki... What happens if we do Kiki on grass as key? We're just going to have to, as usual, sort of feel out the properties of this new word. Well, that doesn't work because Kiki is Kiki, so Kiki can never be key under any circumstances. My guess is I would step onto the grass, it would turn us into a key, and then key is not you, so, you know, the puzzle becomes unmovable at that point. But I wanted to verify. It's always good to verify. So, grass is not you, wall and door is stop, door is shut, key is open and also push. So something needs to become a key. Can we do grass on Kiki is key? Does that work? Oh, alright, yeah, grass is key, that's pretty bad. We don't want that. Because as long as key is pushed, that's gonna create a huge amount of blocking. But like... This is kind of cool, because there's a concept here. The idea of Kiki on the grass makes total intuitive sense to you as a person, because you have an experience with grass, like you walk over grass. Grass on Kiki kind of doesn't make sense. Part of my brain is like rebelling against that idea, because the grass would never be on Kiki, right? But if we do this, yeah, it turns that into a key, and then we disable this, because we don't want to create any more keys. Each key that we create is a collision blocker. Okay. So that's an interesting idea. We have this on keyword that allows us to conditionally assign traits to objects. Moon make flag. Flag is open. Flag is you. Hedges stop. Okay. Moon make flag. What is that? Well, I mean, let's turn it around. Let's try flag make moon, since we actually have a flag. And to see what that does. Like, I mean, you could... Oh. The Baba is defeat. I have to be a little more careful about how I move around here. I don't actually come up with a plan. We're going to have to space these out a little bit more. So obviously, this is going to make the flag produce moons, but okay, it's just every cycle, wherever the flag is, a moon will be. Is there any value to that at all? Well, we can make the moons open. What's shut? Grass is shut. Ah, okay, I see. So when we come down here and push win, so that Baba is win, the grass will become defeat. So we need to create a path of moons on the grass down to this area over here. And then we come back and we make it so moon is open. The moons delete all the grass, and then we can make grass as defeat, and it doesn't prevent us from coming back to touch the Baba. Okay. Pretty straightforward stuff so far. No use of the on here, so this tells us something about the way the levels are visually arranged, right? I was asking questions about like the spatial arrangement of the levels versus the numerical arrangement of the levels, and I still am not 100% clear why levels are named the way they are. But like, we have this colored grouping. My guess is if we went back to level 3 here, which is the same color as level 1, it would in fact have the on keyword in it. And then those other levels in the lighter color, yep, there we are. Those other levels in the lighter color have a different mechanical idea going on. That's an interesting way to design the area. So, flag is win, door is shut and stop, key is open and push. Pretty straightforward stuff. Rock on water is key, and we have a bunch of belts here. With the way shift is positioned, if we make belt is shift, we can never get back any of those words. So we have to be a little bit careful. Is there a reason not to belt right now, not to make it shift right now? Like, how does that break down? If rock is push and belt is shift. The problem is that once we push the water, or push the rock over here and make it into a key, we won't be able to go back because the belt will be constantly pushing in the wrong direction. So, the way this area is shaped, if we don't use the belts, if we were to not make belt to shift, we wouldn't be able to push the rock through, right? We would get stuck. So we do need belt to be shift until the rock is through. But then something else... Well, how about belt on rock is shift? Does that make sense? Because that way the belt is not pushing us when we're trying to walk back across it the other way. And then that leaves rock in a position where we can still make rock push. On is an interesting keyword because it changes the smaller parts of the phrase in a way that the other keywords don't. Right? If you put like belt and rock, right now we have rock is shift. If you put belt and rock is shift, it doesn't change the properties of the rock. But as soon as we put like, well, I guess I can't. Hold on. Let's make this not push anymore. Right now the rock is going to force us out of it every time we touch it because it is shift. But now that this is the case, the rock itself is no longer shift. That has some interesting spatial implications. There are ways that we can remove traits from objects by adding to the sentence, this is the only keyword of which that is true. It's not relevant in this puzzle, but it might be a thing that is worth noting for the future. So now this should just push the rock through, right? And we'll follow it through. And then, yeah, and because the way the area is shaped, we can push the key out trivially. That's a neat puzzle. This game's pretty alright. I don't know if I've expressed that I enjoy the thing it's doing. Also, wow, remarkably easy to get the flower in this area. Just a much smaller area than the others. You know, it really has been, so far, a nice relaxing spot. So flag is win, water is sink, so we can't push the word flag up to make flag is win by ourselves. We need an object to do it for us. Text is float, belt is shift. It's all pretty straightforward. So what are we doing here? Even after flag is win, we still, even if we assume that we have a way of solving this, we still do have to get across some water. So we're going to need a couple of objects, right? One to sink into one of these water spaces here to clear the water, and then another one up there. How do we do that? Rock is push, and then we have Kiki on and text. How does that help? Text? We can make a Kiki, right? Like text on rock is Kiki, and then... but like... what are we trying to accomplish here? I guess that gives us a second object. The belt is shift, so once we go across, we can't come back. Alright, I'm gonna try something here. Let's just try some stuff. Let's bring the rock over here for a moment. And then I want it not to be push anymore, because I want to be able to put text on top of it. If we do text on rock is Kiki, that gives us a second object with which we can break water. And I don't think... oops, that's not what I wanted. Another example of the unusual function of on there. Okay, so now we've turned text into an object that can be pushed into the water. An object that is not float. And then we just need Oh, wait, but... Did that delete the rock? Oh, yeah, it's a double cycle thing, right? Text on rock is Kiki, makes the text turn into Kiki, and then there's no more meaning to on, so on's not part of the sentence anymore. So then it just says rock is Kiki. That's a good example of the thing I was talking about during the other level. Where removal of text changes the meaning of the sentence. So, how do we deal with that? Because we do need to have a second object, right? Well, you know, I was about to say we could just use the word Kiki because we won't need Kiki anymore after that, but we do need Kiki to be able to push. Yeah, that doesn't really work. We are going to need a second object. This is pretty easy once we have the two objects. I think it's quite straightforward. It's just a matter of getting two. And they could even be the same object. We just need them both to exist at the same time. We could go... It doesn't help us to turn the rock into Kiki. Well, hold on. Actually... Does this make two Kikis, though? It should, right? Because the rock and the text both turned into Kiki? Yeah, if that's two Kikis in there, that's fine. I guess we really have no way of knowing, unfortunately. Also, I have the word on here, which is... I don't think it matters that we have... Oh, yeah, it does matter a little bit. Okay, I have to be careful about how I do this. And that's like... Yeah, that's just a thing that I caused to happen by being clumsy. It's not, that's not actually a difficult part of the puzzle, not getting that word on there. Alright, I think we have two Kikis here. I sure hope so. Nope. Nope, it did turn out to be just one. Either that or they both sunk. Yeah, they both sunk simultaneously because they were both pushed into the water. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't have restarted, though. Could we have... Oh, you know, actually, it's an interesting problem. I wasn't thinking about it, but we actually can't push two objects through this area. Because once we push one through, we can't come back over to get a second one. And if we push two things through, like the Kiki and the on, we ourselves cannot cross. So... how do we deal with that? That's a problem. If we... The way we would have to do it is by making... We'd have to make the object that's in this space not push temporarily, come across and... But we can't make it not push temporarily, because we won't be able to come back. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a pretty big problem. How do we actually manage to have two objects over there? We can't change anything about the hedges or anything, or the belt. I think it is actually the case that we're stuck with just these 6 words in this rock to work with. So what are our options here for defining ourselves a second object? We can really only make, or a second non-floating object, to be more precise. We can really only make stuff like text is something, right? But it can't be all the text, obviously. We have some feelings about some of this text. Some of it must remain. Text on rock is Kiki, then makes rock is Kiki, which is an issue. There's no way... I wonder if there's a way, like, if it really was producing 2 Kikis in the same space, is there a way to separate them? No, there wouldn't be, right? Because anything that pushes one of them pushes both. You can't... Yeah, 2 objects that are the same in the same space can never be separated. So we have to avoid creating that situation. I apologize, and me sitting still slowly talking out my thoughts is like not the most riveting content. I do appreciate all the positive comments that people have been leaving. I'm trying to be very careful about reading the comments because no matter how much you ask people not to spoil stuff, people will give you answers and spoil stuff. That's a thing I've just learned over years and years of doing this on YouTube. But people have mostly been very cool so far, and I appreciate that. We could... I'm wondering if there's a way to, like, use some text? Like, have some text that is float come through here? I guess we don't really have a good way of redefining it once we're on the other side. Yeah, I'm not actually sure. We'll come back. We have one more puzzle in this area we can look at. We'll give that a quick look. I certainly don't want to fail to solve this area. With it only requiring 4 solutions, I'd feel very bad if we didn't get there. So, statue is you. What is statue? Oh, that. Okay, I just looked right past it. It's a very unassuming color. Okay, so statue is you, belt is belt, and stop. We can make belt shift and not stop, but once we do that, we can never turn it back. So we have to figure out why. What is the harm with it being... Like, why would we want it not to be... Why not turn this on immediately is the question. We have Kiki make. Key is push. Something can become open. We have a lot of doors. Fruit is defeat. Kiki is float and stop and shut. Huh. I mean, this is a strange one, for sure. So is the idea that you want to make... Key on key is weak is interesting. So right now, the belt is stop. We can make the belt no longer be stop, make it shift, and then travel through here ourselves. And by the time that happens, this has to be dealt with. If we make... Kiki is float and stop. I'm not even 100% sure, I don't even see the beginnings of what we're supposed to do here. Key is push and open. Kiki can make keys, but Kiki can't move at the same time. So... But if we do this for one cycle, Kiki does make a key, right? Interesting to note, Kiki is not making keys every cycle, because if Kiki was making keys every cycle, then every second cycle we'd have key on key is weak trigger and the keys would break. We'd see an alternation in state there. Okay, so now we have a key. We can't access it because Kiki is float and stop. But we could redefine Kiki to be a key, which would then kill them both because key on key is weak, right? Yeah. So we don't actually want Kiki make key, we want Kiki is key. But why is there a Kiki in the first place? What is the reason that we have a Kiki now? And how do we deal with the key problem? So we need to end up with 5 keys, at least. Or 5 keys, I guess 5 objects that are open. Boy. So you could use a Kiki to make a key, and then you can use a key to make a... Okay, hold on. So the Kiki is not movable. Kiki is an uninteractable garbage piece right now. I've just done this exactly backwards. we need to turn the key into a key to be able to manipulate it in the first place. But we need to end up with multiple objects. So now we need to be able to move this key. Damn it. There we go. If we put the key here, can't put the key on the belt because the belt is stop and the key is push. What I was going to say is we could like put the key on the belt while it's not shift yet. And then make it Kiki, and then I was hoping that Kiki being stop would mean that the belt shift doesn't move it, and then we can make Kiki make key and have the Kiki just producing an infinite number of keys, just sort of pooping them out. But apparently that won't work because there's no way to get the key on the belt. Because if we made belt as shift and not stop, then obviously, as soon as we push the key onto the belt, it would move right off. So we have to produce at least 5 keys. Which means we have to use the make command to do that. So probably that's like key make Kiki. As much as Kiki is an unusable piece of trash, it is another object. Oh, but I can't even push the key out, because Kiki is stop. So you definitely have to use the belt for this somehow. Except that you can't push anything onto a belt. I mean, if we make belt shift and not stop, and we have... Huh, interesting. Why does the key move to the left when I do that? So to be clear, I'm pressing right, and then right, and then right. I guess it's... so the key is here, I move onto the belt pushes me left, and because the key is push, I push the key left. But the core problem here is that anytime you make key make Kiki, you can no longer move the key. Because you cannot enter a space that has Kiki in it. Even though Kiki is float. I have no idea what the purpose of Kiki being float is. So we need to end up with a bunch of keys, and they all have to be in this column somehow. We have to have 5 keys, and they all have to be in this column, despite the fact that it's impossible to put 5 keys in this column. Right, or that it appears for the moment to be impossible. Because even if you had an infinite number of objects to use to push keys over here, there are only 3 spaces to push keys into. And once you come over here to start pushing keys down to eliminate them, you can never come back, because the belt is shift. So, the conditions that we need are... I will say, one thing that kind of bums me out is that I've seen a couple of people who were not giving solutions, who were trying to give helpful advice, who like give advice that I'm clearly already doing. They're like, hey, maybe you should use this strategy to try to solve it. When like I'm doing that out loud. You see that a lot on comments for all puzzle game videos, not just mine, and I think it's a super strange phenomenon. It's like they're only paying enough attention to know that you haven't solved it. They can't really, like, I don't know. So key is... If the key is push... Hold on. I've been making an assumption that if a thing is both push and stop, it doesn't push. But that's not actually right, is it? No, you can push a thing if it's stop. I think part of the problem is that the stop keyword just doesn't make a lot of sense. Right? Because like things that are float and stop also stop things that are not float. Isn't that what we figured out? Like I described it as a problem with the float keyword behaving inconsistently. in a previous episode, but I think the actual problem is that it's the stop keyword that doesn't behave in a way that makes any sense. So we can push. So if Kiki makes keys and Kiki is push, then we can produce a bunch of objects. They just really don't want you doing this in the other way, and that's why Kiki is stop. And Kiki being stop, like if the belt is shift and not stop, I could just press the Kiki onto the belt. Ah, here we go. Okay, there's your key machine. And now Kiki doesn't have to be push anymore. You really don't want Kiki to be push anymore. You want key to be push. Okay. Also, you don't want like everything about what has happened here. Let's go. Kiki is push right now. But there's something we're supposed to do probably before we do this, because otherwise belt is shift and otherwise that belt is shift would already be true, right? We'll have to figure that out. For right now, I'm gonna just do this. So Kiki make key. Key is push. Alright, so now we have a bunch of keys. But what do we do with them? Because, like, we could, like I was saying, we could easily make enough keys where we can form three horizontal lines of keys and use them to shove some of the keys through the fruit. We could very easily get 3 keys lined up here that are all push that would make it easy to eliminate the doors. But that doesn't really solve our problem. That we still have 2 doors that are stop and shut. So how do we get the 4th and 5th key into a useful position? Pushing keys through the belt at the top obviously doesn't have any benefit, because we can't get them out of that top corner anyway. We could make the keys... And we can make the keys make Kiki, but boy, that doesn't help, huh? There's no way for us to adjust the positioning of the belts. Because the belt is belt and stop. But I suppose... No, that's interesting. We cannot, right now, assign any traits to the belt, right? But in its initial state, maybe the word belt isn't here so that this is untrue at the beginning. Maybe the word belt is here so that you can make belt is push temporarily at the beginning of the puzzle. How do we make use of it? Because if we could reposition this one bit of belt and have it doing the key thing somewhere else, that could be useful, right? If we could have it emitting keys anywhere else. Well, not anywhere else. It has to be somewhere pretty specific. But like if the key is push... Okay, I think we're onto something here. Also, I dig the statue. This is a cool... I think I like it because it sort of looks like a skeleton. This is a cool avatar. I like being the statue. I would also like it if I could just be a cool skeleton a lot. Alright, so if belt is push, we take this belt and we put it like right here facing this way, and then we do this to allow us to retrieve these words. That's gotta be the reason that belt is right there, right? Now we make Kiki is push, and Kiki doesn't get shifted by the belt, presumably because Kiki is float, and so it's not actually touching the belt. Then we cause Kiki to make key. Hold on, we have to redesign this whole deal, though. Because Kiki's going to make key, and key has to be push and open. key is push and open. I think this is going to work. We're going to have to be a little bit cautious about our footing. Because now this is going to cause Kiki to emit a stream of keys to the right infinitely, and they're not going to collide. Yeah, okay. So we push one down into the door. We have to back up, push, because remember... Oh, well, hold on. The problem we're going to have here is that... I have to be a little cautious. Okay. The problem we're going to have here is that the keys have collision. So if we were to do this in such a way that we produced the wrong number of keys, they would prevent us from making contact with the flag. But this should totally work. Okay, yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one, but that demonstrates an important concept in video game puzzle design. This is not a thing that needs to be true. It's not a thing that's necessarily true by the nature of video game puzzles, but it's a thing designers usually do. It's very rare that you'll see a thing like... Come on, load in. A thing like this for no reason. If the designer has done this, if they have placed a thing in a level, if they have given you a possibility, if something is any way other than the most obvious way it could be, it's for a reason, right? Now, unfortunately, that's not always true. Sometimes because the designer has done a bad job and has not like really thought about it or has not tested with other people enough, and they're signaling a thing they don't realize they're signaling, or sometimes because they're violating that principle on purpose, which is almost always just bad design making the puzzle harder for no reason. We have seen an instance or two of it in this game already, and I don't necessarily think it's always bad. Sometimes you can use it to just like check the player and make them have to think about a thing, but a lot of times it's bad. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Kiki is move. Kiki makes tile. Tile is defeat. So those Kikis are going to produce a big field of death as we move around. Baba is you and makes grass, that is defeat. But it's also stop. Can I even... This is pretty weird. Grass is defeat right now, and we're on grass, but we're not dying. Why is that the case? I'm not 100% sure. I guess it's not bad to be on a thing that is defeat. It's bad to move onto a thing that is defeat. That's a pretty narrow distinction that doesn't matter at all in almost all cases, but matters here quite a bit. Hedges stop, rock is push, rock on me is win. Flag on rock is me. Huh. Well, I mean, it sort of looks like we could just walk up there, make it so rock is no longer push, and then step onto the rock, and it would become win, and I would be on it? Does that not work? Oh, interesting. Because the grass is stop, it stops the Kikis. That's worth noting. I'm assuming this is not going to work, but we're going to find out why here. Rock on me is win. But I guess not. Not really 100% sure why that's the case. I mean, it says it right there. Rock on me is win. Like, this rock is on me. Why is it not win? Maybe things that are win on top of things that are defeat. Like, maybe there's a canceling out that's going on here. But I think, like, there's a real problem with this puzzle where a whole bunch of stuff is just not playing by all of the rules that we know from the rest of the game, and there's no explanation as to why that is, which sucks. Alright, so flag on rock is me, and rock on me is win. If we push the rock onto the flag, does that not cause an immediate victory? We have to prevent the Kikis from breaking that. And I have to... Oh, that's... Okay, that's interesting. I have to not go up through this space, because then I won't be able to push the rock back. I'll just die. So... what we actually want to do is more like... Damn it. More like this. Oh no, he's gonna disrupt the thing. Rock is me. So we have to... We just barely don't move fast enough to prevent them from breaking this. But is it even a big deal? Because what if instead of attempting to stop them from doing this... I guess we can't, I was gonna say, why don't we just push a bunch of the words over ourselves? But we actually can't do that, can we? But what I can do is push this up so at least the whole phrase gets pushed over to the left. What? Okay, apparently being at the edge of the puzzle and pressing to the right one too many times kills us. Because I guess it's me making a move that ends with me that's on a thing that is defeat. But like, again, I object to the fact that I can stand on the grass and not die in the first place. I'm not wild about this puzzle, if that wasn't clear. And then we do this and... Right, you all saw it. You all have already seen it. I'm so embarrassed. Rock on me is win doesn't work the way I was thinking it was, because the word me doesn't have its English meaning here. Me is a little dude in the game. It's not like me. Me is not you. That's a very stupid... Alright. Okay, I get it. I get there eventually. So that, I mean, that's interesting though. How do we fix that? Do we need to move the phrase? So this is so annoying. This you can't step on a tile a second time. I can't think of a single game where I have liked this thing. This is a mechanic that exists in a bunch of games. I can think most prominently, there's a level in Celeste where like it has a bunch of walls where once you touch that part of the wall, it becomes lethal for the rest of the room, so you can only touch each place once, and it's just never fun. So in order for this to work, the rock can't be push anymore after the rock makes it to the flag. How do we do that? How do we make it so that the rock will get disrupted? Oh, okay. One thing we could do is we could let the kikis break the phrase for us, but we have to be pretty careful about the timing on that, right? Because what we have to do is a version of this, right? We push this down here, and then we go and we push the rock, and then the kiki does that after we've gotten the rock over here. So we have to move around in such a way as to make the timing of that make sense. And my guess is that's going to involve us doing this kind of thing. Hold on, this is not optimal. I want to push this down. We could even cut that a little bit more. I want to push this down immediately after the kiki passes that space. There we go. That gives us the maximum amount of time to get the rock to where we need it to be. I don't know if it's going to be enough, honestly. Yeah, no, it's totally enough. Okay, so we do this thing. And then we just wander around until the break happens, and then we step onto it. There we go. That puzzle's fine, I guess. This is definitely not my favorite. And I mean, we're just going to keep going here in this area until we either solve all the puzzles or we'll make as much progress as we can. Adventurers. So, ice and flag is something... Hand make belt. That's actually kind of terrifying. So Baba is you. Interestingly, we have a Baba up here in a position where it's completely inaccessible. Hand is defeat, wall is stop. Hand make belt, but nothing is shift. If belt was shift and hand make belt, then the belt would push the hand over, the hand would create a new belt, then that would push over and the hand would create a new belt, and then... So... how do we use that to do anything at all? We don't have the ability to push anything. We can make things move. It's skull is defeat. I don't... What? What is supposed to be happening here? Right now, nothing's going to happen as we move around. We can make the hands and the belts make each other and shift around and move, but aren't they always only going to do that to the left? Because we have no ability to change their directions, right? Unless maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe the hand is not facing left right now. My assumption is, though, that the hand is... Yeah, okay, it is facing left. So, no matter how much... No matter how many shenanigans we conduct here with shift and move and belt, things are always only going to be able to move left and right in the 2 rows that they're already in, right? If we could... Oh, okay. It's like Baba make belt, and then I lay down the pattern that the hands need to move in. But I don't know what that pattern is either. So if we can figure out a way, like, so I lay down some belt, and then we go back to the hands making the belt. Like, let's say I lay down a track of belt that goes like this, and then we go back to hands make belt, belt is shift. Then it'll go like, you know, the belt will run over here, and it'll go like that, and it will keep laying down belt for itself, so it would push the words around. So we could, in theory, push defeat and win. Like, we could push defeat to right there, and win to right there. I'm not 100% sure what will happen with ice is defeat, ice and flag is win. Because there's ice here that we have to cross to get to the flag. Hold on, if we make Baba make belt, we can't retrieve the word make anymore. It will be stuck here permanently. So we couldn't cause the hand to make more belt. It would only be able to ride, like, if we make belt as shift, the hand would only be able to ride the belt until the point where we could no longer travel. So they'd be here and they wouldn't be able to push the words anyway. That seems like a problem. That seems like a really big problem that there's no answer for. So, like... Yeah, how do we solve that? Whatever, if we try to make a Baba make anything, we lose the word make. The only other thing we can use this Baba for is, like, hand make Baba or belt make Baba, but both of those are not useful, because no number of Babas lets us access this stuff. Skull is defeat. It can kill an infinite number of us. This one's... I don't even know what to do in that one. Let's try Maritime Adventures. Give me one of these on puzzles. Baba is you, hand is move. Wall is not you. The lava doesn't do anything at all right now, but it eventually might be defeat. So, door has flag. Is the door... The door is not shut now, but at some point will come out. At some point will cause this to move up, right? The door will become shut, and then we have to put the hand, which is open, onto it. Wall is push, and we have an on. So we can't personally push the is defeat upward, because if we do so, we'll be trapped back there forever. As soon as this gets pushed up, we can't move south anymore. So we have to have some object that is moved do that for us. Except there's no way to actually do that, because we can't make... If we push something here, it would be facing right, not up. So... Why is the wall push? How does that help? Wall is not you. And wall is wall. So we cannot redefine the wall as anything to gain access to additional bodies, which would be really helpful, obviously. We could make it so that we have this on that I have no idea what to do with. We could make it so that well, I suppose one thing we could do is just make hand is you, and then if we make hand is you, then we have an extra body to make lava is defeat, and then just that body can just die, and that's fine. But that doesn't quite work because we can have at most 2 of our own bodies that way, right? If we let one of them just be trapped over here or die in the lava, then we have to use the second one to sacrifice it to the door, right? It has to be obliterated upon touching the door. And then we don't have anybody left to touch the flag. So no, if we were going to do this in such a way that we sacrifice somebody to make this part work, we'd have to have 3 bodies, which we can't do. Wall. What is the wall doing for us? Right now, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Which makes me think that I'm missing whatever it is that it's supposed to do. Yeah, the on also has no purpose. So we can make Baba on hand on Baba, wall on Baba, but like wall on Baba is no, we can't. We can never. Yeah, what in the hell are we supposed to be doing with the wall and the on? We can make it so some things are conditionally move, which is not useful, right? We can make it so some things are conditionally push. Does that help, though? It doesn't seem like it does. Presumably it must. Something's got to be. We got to do something with all these pieces. We don't necessarily, like I was saying. Generally speaking, good video game puzzle design is that everything on the board is going to be useful in some way. Red herrings are not. It's not like a rule of the universe that there should be no red herrings, but putting red herrings in the puzzle just makes the puzzle harder for no reason, like for no skill gain. If you solve a puzzle that has red herrings in it, you didn't learn anything extra about the puzzle mechanics from the fact that there are red herrings. So it doesn't like help you to develop the skill of learning the puzzles, which is what the purpose of every level, in addition to being a puzzle, is also teaching you things about the puzzles, right? We can push the wall around, we can make the wall not push, we can make some other things push. And we need to combine all these traits somehow to make it so that there is some object that completes this, while the rest of our objects are over in this area. But I do not see it. If we make something temporarily you... Yeah. No, never mind. I was gonna say, if we make something temporarily you and cause it to move up, and then execute a move such that it's not you anymore, we could at least make it able to move in this area, and that totally works as long as we don't have the phrase wall is not you anywhere on the map. But again, anything that can be us can't be sacrificed over here or we lose. We won't have enough bodies to actually complete the puzzle. Well, is there's no other puzzles available to us? No. I don't really want to go into a new area with only 10 minutes left in the puzzle, or only 10 minutes left in the video, so let's try to figure something out here. We're gonna spend the rest of the video in this world. We definitely are in a situation here where we're having a decreasing number of puzzles solved per episode, though. I'm very aware of it. If we could solve one more puzzle in these next 10 minutes, it won't be true. We will have solved the same number here as last time, and that will make me feel more comfortable. So, here, if we were to push... We have a problem here where we can't push two objects through this corner together, and also we can only push objects through together. We can't ever come back to push stuff. So whatever we push through has to all go through at once. Text will never travel via the belt. So we could use the text... No, we can't. Never mind. I was gonna say, like, we could use the text to push a thing through, and then, but the only way to pull it back would be to have the pull keyword, which we don't. It really feels like text on noun is other noun is like the only move we have, right? We can't afford to... I mean, that's fine. Whatever. We changed which object we have. We didn't change the number of objects we have, so it doesn't matter. Text on Kiki is rock is not different from text on Kiki, or text on rock is Kiki. So text on Kiki does something... Oh! I got something. Hold on. The text is push... We could make it so that an object is only pushed when it's on the text? Yeah. Okay, hold on. If rock on text is push... It's not what we want to do. If rock on text is push, then the rock only has collision some of the time. And maybe we don't need the word Kiki at all to, like, interact with the idea of Kiki. We just need a loose word. Right, so if we put this here, we do this thing. This is a way that we can have two objects on top of each other, but they're separable at the water. And then we can use the floating word Kiki to do the pushover. Yeah, there we go. I was so worried about the idea of converting a second word, or a word into a second non-floating object, but I really didn't need to be. It was okay for one of the objects to be floating, because it was only true in one space that the water needed to be destroyed. So you can see there's a point in there where I made a bad assumption. If you start working out your solution, any solution you're going to make is going to be founded on a base of assumptions. If you have a faulty assumption in your base, it's going to make your solution wrong in a way that's not obvious because all the parts of your solution are right for the rules that you've invented. That's a thing that sounds obvious when said out loud, but is really, really easy to accidentally do and be completely unable to see. Alright, so this version, rock is push, Kiki is text, skull is defeat, skull on Kiki and rock is weak. So, text on rock is Kiki. Doesn't work, because rock is push. Well, but we can make rock not push. We can't move the push around, but we can move the rock around. It's like if we were to make, say... Now let's get the word rock out of the way here, because it's going to cause problems. If we were to make text on rock is Kiki. This is not ideal the way I've done this. Okay, if we were to make text on rock is Kiki. Brain, there we go. Listen, in my defense, I'm very stupid. So, you know, there's that. If we do text on rock is Kiki, and then we... How do we... I have to... Sorry, this has to not be there. This has to be here. We have to break the rock is push. And then... Sorry, I have to fix some stuff here. Right? So that gives us a Kiki. Then... That doesn't work because we can't push the Kiki. Because we have to get ourselves with a Kiki and a rock, and then we have to get them to this space, which I can't do now that I've done this. The word Kiki can't be the word that gets destroyed. What words don't we need? Once we have the on, or once we have this done, we don't need the on anymore, or we might not need the word text anymore. So we would have to do this with one of those. But again, we have the problem where if the word text or the word on gets removed, then rock is Kiki causes a real problem. So, how do we solve that problem? I guess it wouldn't matter if it were to happen on the skull, but that can't happen because of the position the skull is in. Yeah, that's a problem, man. That's a tricky one. If text on rock is Kiki, destroys text or rock, then it also text or on, then it also destroys our rock. So we can't do that. Man. We did open up another puzzle. Let's have a look at that one before the episode comes to an end, because we are at 57 minutes now. We did open up number 7 here. By the way, that my conclusions make perfect sense for my biases, or for my initial premises problem is not a puzzle game problem. That's your whole actual real life problem. A huge number of the issues in our society and culture are because of people who cannot recognize that their initial premises are flawed, and who are certain their conclusions are right based on their premises. We don't have time to get into it, but boy, if only people could recognize this problem when it happens to them. It's a real issue. Rock, so stars win, water is sink. Text is float, hedge and pillar is stop. Rock on pillar can be push. So we need to get 2 objects over to the water to destroy them. And it's sort of the same, it's a pretty similar puzzle, right? Except it's like very tedious. The rock is only push when it's on the pillar. So like, there's a version of this puzzle where we just put this here and then be like, okay, now rock on pillar is push. Nope. I guess I was talking about doing the thing we're going to have to do at the end the whole way. We could do like rock on pillar is push. Oh no, the pillars stop. That's right. That doesn't even work. Because I'm being silly. We can absolutely move them over here one at a time. I was thinking we were going to have to do the thing the whole time. But yeah, we want to move them over here one at a time. Pillar is push, rock is push. Put them on top of each other. And then it's important that we push the pillar first. Oh no, the pillars stop. So this part we have to put the rock over first. The pillar being stopped actually makes this like a little bit annoying. But this is that situation where I was like, oh man, once we have the 2 objects on top of each other, how do we separate them? Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. The pillar being stopped doesn't prevent it from being pushed onto stuff, right? It's just it prevents stuff from being pushed onto it. Ah, there's 3 tiles of water. Well, that's a problem. How do we solve that problem? Because, like, obviously we can then do rock is push. I was like, for a second there, I was like, I don't even really see the issue. But the issue is that we aren't given enough objects. Rock on pillar is... Boy, I don't know what the hell. What the hell I was thinking. Rock on pillar is push, pillar is pillar, hedge and pillar is stop. We don't have access to, like, any other words. We can push actual words through here, so we can make. Nope, that doesn't give us anything. I was trying to figure out, like, we can make other things sink, or we can make other things water, both of which are not helpful. We can't use anything to make a third object here, though, right? So... So wait, what do you do here? I was too busy having half thoughts while kind of thinking about other stuff. Yeah, like, none of these words actually mean anything, right? If we can't use them to produce a third object, they don't have any function in the puzzle. So rock is push, pillar is push. We can't use these to create a third object. We can make, like, if we had the word make, we could do something. If we Yeah, I don't... This is another one of those ones where, looking at it immediately, it seems like there's nothing to do. I'm missing something on the conceptual layer here. We can't create a third object, but we must create a third... We must have 3 objects that are not us in order to complete the level. Unless we can somehow get rid of the sink keyword, which we can't do. Or we could turn the water into something else, which we can't do. Or we could assign another quality to the water, which we can't do. The hedges stop, so we can't access any of the other rules. But the fact that water is sink is here means that we're supposed to interact with it somehow, right? The question is just how. Turning the only things we could actually do is either give rock or pillar sink, or make rock or pillar into water, both of which don't accomplish anything. They get us further from solving the puzzle, not closer. So the thing that we do actually have to do is something I'm not seeing. We could... In theory, if we could somehow push words into this space, which, to be clear, we cannot do, we still wouldn't be able to make anything useful, right? Like rock on water is sink, pillar on water is sink. None of that does anything. So yeah, I just like super do not see what we are supposed to do here, or how this puzzle could even be solvable. Interesting. I'm missing something really big, and I'm very curious what it is. Yeah, because we can't make a complicated phrase, like a 5-word phrase that involves water because of its position. The text is all float, so the text can't interact with the water directly. Huh. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what to do here. Well, I mean, we're past the hour here. We could just wrap. I'm not. This one's baffling in a way that, like, kind of makes me not want to look away, though. We can make. Why do we even have an on? Here's a question. Why do we have an on? If something is only push conditionally, does that actually help us in some way? Is there something to do with that idea? Because that's the only purpose that the on can have, right? Given the way the space is designed and the small number of words we have access to. The purpose of this on is giving something conditional push. But I must be missing the way something interacts because I can't see why we would want to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to fold this one up. If you can't tell, this is like a knife turning in my brain. It really bothers me that I can't even begin to see, like, there's no handhold here at all for me, and it's driving me quietly insane. No, not quietly, out loud. It's driving me out loud insane. We have to stop for today. Unfortunately, I do have a limited amount of time I can devote to this. This is going to bother me, though. You can be absolutely 100% certain that I will not be able to stop thinking about this all day. Hopefully, when you come back next time, tomorrow, I will have figured out what even the idea is here, because if not, it's absolutely going to destroy me from the inside. This is going to be some Lovecraft shit, where a thought I have had is going to consume my physical body in the actual material plane. So, come back next time tomorrow. If there's an episode, you'll know I have something on this. And we'll see you then.